Hey everyone, welcome to the next edition of the Rebel Tribe. I'm Melodian Whiteley, founder of the Rebel Tribe, and today's guest is Faye Nulman. Faye is a holistic health expert. She has more certifications than I even care to try and list right here. So she knows a lot about a lot of things. So without getting into all of that, we'll get into her certifications, I'm sure, as we go through the discussion. So everybody, I'd like you to meet Faye Nulman.
Hey,
Hey, tell us
it's
a little bit
awesome to
about how
be
you
here.
got into this. How did you get into holistic health?
I get into holistic health kind of through a back door. I used to suffer from intense, debilitating migraines as a kid, and my mother was a little bit ahead of her time. She used to get this magazine called Prevention. And one month there was instructions on how to do hand and foot reflexology. So she decided to figure it out to try and help me with my headaches. And so, kind of without realizing, I guess unconsciously, I picked up that you can take care of yourself to get rid of things that are bothering you physically. And it just kind of progressed through there. At one point, I stopped taking Advil and Tylenol for the headaches because it created that rebound effect where if you keep taking that, it actually causes the thing you're trying to eliminate because it builds up in your body. And then I started seeing how both of them were no good for like liver and stomach and started destroying those organs. And I'm like, no, not having that, you know. Fast forward a few years, I don't even remember how many years, but fast forward a number of years, I got introduced to EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, the tapping where you work on the meridian lines. We did a video on that. So if anybody wants to know a little bit more about that, they can go back to that video and get dialed in. Um, I was playing around with the EFT and something I got a download that said, "Oh, emotional. You're getting emotional, positive attention." So I tapped on the emotions around that. I eliminated the headaches by 3/4. I got rid of the rest of them by changing my diet and adding more hydration because as I came to find out, majority of people who suffer from headaches is due to severe dehydration. Most of the time we're dehydrated before we even realize that we're dehydrated. And at that point, all of the negative effects of the dehydration start to kick in. So with that knowledge, I haven't had a headache in so many years. I've lost count. And at this point, if I do start to get a headache, it's either A, I haven't had enough fluid the day before, or B, I ate probably a little bit too much fatty something the day before because headaches will also get activated based on what you've eaten. So if you've eaten too much fatty food or too much fried food, your your liver and your gallbladder just can't process it fast enough. So all of those toxins start to back up in your body. And voila, you'll have a headache. Lack of sleep can also do it, but the awareness around it and any emotional aspects that you're holding on to, because that's going to translate into stress, right? How many times have you noticed, Melodian, when you're stressed out, your body in general just starts to feel depleted, right?
And it does. Well, yeah, that's how I
So
met you, actually. We were at a conference. I don't know if you remember, but we were at a conference in Orlando. Um, and I came down with a horrible migraine. Like you, I used to get horribly debilitating migraines. And I was on some really pretty powerful painkillers that the doctors had given me. And they just, they made me feel really kind of out of it. So I did not bring them with me to Orlando because I hadn't had a headache in a while and I wasn't expecting to have one. But I don't know what it was. Could have been the hydration thing. Could have been, we were eating the food there. So who knows? something triggered it, and I was just like in pain and panicking because I was like, I'm gonna miss, I paid money for this thing, number one. And number two, I came because I wanted to hear, I wanted to hear the speakers, and I don't want to sit it out. So I was kind of just bummed out because I was going to miss half of it because I was going to end up staying in my room trying to get rid of my headache. I could just feel it. It was so painful. And then I don't remember if my daughter introduced me to you or somebody, Heshi maybe.
Yeah, I don't quite remember how we got the connection. I know it was a
But
new.
somebody introduced me to you and you're like, I can fix that. I was like, okay, okay. I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm all in. Okay.
Yeah, we sat right in the main conference room, and I did my magic, and you looked up at me and you were like, I don't know what you did, but it's gone. It was awesome.
It was because I
It was
was
awesome.
really upset because I thought I was going to miss out on everything. And it was a really good conference. So I'm glad you fixed me.
Well, I'm glad you were open to receiving what I had to offer. Because a lot of people would have said, no, 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 just leave me alone.
Hey, I was in enough
So
pain. I would have tried
you
anything.
took
If you'd have
part of
told me to
it.
strip naked and run down Main Street in Orlando because it would help, I think I might have tried it. I was in that much pain. I was like, okay, if you think this will work, I'm game. Okay.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't happen.
So I don't know if it
What's
had so much to
even
do with,
cool,
I don't know if it had so much to do
what's
with being
even cooler,
open. Uh,
what's cooler still is since then, I mean, at that point, I used some head massage and some Reiki, and I was using some acupressure points that are all along the ear that are specifically migraine related to eliminate your headache. But I have so many more tools now, things like essential oil or visualization or even the hypnosis. There are some hypnosis techniques that all these things can be handled, even content free, just to eliminate the suffering. So it's really pretty cool how, as I've said all along, we can take our own healing, our own wellness into our own hands and heal ourselves. We don't need to be reliant on prescriptions, which oftentimes end up creating more side effects and more things to deal with. Granted, there's a time and a place for Western medicine. If something is severed and bleeding and kind of hanging off of you, yeah, get thee to a doctor. But so many things can be handled either through releasing emotional hold that we have on something, or taking better care of ourselves, or sleeping, or diet, or hydration. Homeopathy is another option. So there's just so many other ways that we can handle things.
Well, you just kind of helped to validate with that whole headache thing. I had already started developing an interest in a more holistic approach to my health after my cancer surgery. And again, yes, definitely. Well, I'm very, very grateful for the doctors who found my cancer, who removed my cancer, who treated me for my cancer. I would not be here today if it were not for them, because it was a very aggressive cancer. So I am eternally grateful for modern medicine and what they were able to do for me. But afterwards, I still I felt tired all the time, and I gained a ton of weight, and I was just blah, and I didn't feel right. And I went to a couple of mainstream doctors, and one of them wanted to give me antidepressants. You're depressed. I'm like, no, I'm tired. Okay. I'm not depressed. I'm tired. And then I don't know. I didn't like what I was hearing from them. I was like, there's got to be more. And I started reading more and more about holistic health. And then when I met you, it was like, she just proved that I was right. There's things that I can do for myself that will help me. And I don't need to be taking antidepressants and prescription medications. And yeah, so So thank you for that as well, because you just validated my whole journey, and I have learned more and more as I've gone along. And, I'm 66 years old. I take no prescription medications for anything. Diabetes and high blood pressure both run in my family. And I'm the only one in my family right now that's not on blood pressure medication. I do have I have some family members that have managed to escape the diabetes, but it does run in my family. But so far, I am fine on that aspect as well. I still have a little chunkiness on me, but I'm not sure. I know you read all the horrible things about how being overweight is bad for your health. And aside from the fact that it is a little hard on my joints because I do have arthritis, so I would like to lose a little bit more just because it would be easier on my hips. But even being overweight, I'm healthier than 90% of the people I know. Okay, so I think I'm doing okay.
So
I think I'm doing okay.
And just because something runs in your family does not mean that you are prone to receive the same outcome. It's all gene expression, and gene expression is affected by lifestyle, stress, your own thought process. You can literally think yourself sick. I mean, what was the story? There was this, and it's nobody that I know personally, but there was a story running around for a while. This man was ill. I don't even remember what the diagnosis was. Anyway, he goes to his doctor, and he had a doctor who was pretty progressive and understood the power of thought. So he looked at the guy and he said, "Look, I have this new procedure that's experimental, but I believe that it will give you quality of life and will eliminate the problem." So unbeknownst to the man, it was actually a placebo. But because the doctor in the white coat and the stethoscope told the man this is going to work, lo and behold, the man's belief allowed it to work. And then somewhere like 6 months down the road, somebody said, "What are you talking about? How did that work? You should be dead. That was only a placebo." And very shortly thereafter, the man died because he changed his belief. We've all seen miracles. The mind is a powerful tool, and that's one of the biggest tools that we have in healing. The other thing that's so powerful is vibration. Since we are all energetic beings, right? We're made up of energy and atoms and space, and the vibration of those things help create our wellness. So if you're in an environment that's high vibration, kind of like when I do crystal bowl sound meditations and sound baths, the frequency, the vibration is high. So it brings things that are slightly out of balance back into balance, and it allows the body to do what it's programmed to do naturally, is move back into homeostasis. As a matter of fact, there's a website of Rife frequencies, RIFE, and there's frequencies for pretty much every known issue known to man. And you can listen to these frequencies and help realign your body so it's a match to where it needs to be for that healthy body part.
So
Really kind of cool.
Is that like alpha waves? Because I've suffered from insomnia off and on my entire life, and my husband has lately been too. And we found this. He's a YouTube addict, so we were just surfing through YouTube one night, and he found this alpha waves video, and that's what it said: alpha waves help you sleep better, blah blah blah. So he just clicked on it, and we just watched through it, and before long we woke up like several hours later, both of us on the couch. We have reclining, so we were like both of us in the recliners, just like out cold. So now we play it sometimes at night when we're going to bed. We'll play it upstairs before we go to bed. So is that kind of the same thing? Because it seems to help.
That's different. It's still frequency, so yes, but the Rife frequencies are geared specifically to those body parts. I can send you the link to the website and you can take a look at it. And it doesn't have to be loud. You can play it at the lowest tolerable volume to your ears, because some of the frequencies can be pretty high and hard on the ears. It just has to be audible enough so your unconscious mind and your body receive the frequency, and it'll do its work.
I
So
am not
yeah,
familiar with
you
those.
know, Delta is a deep state of meditation. Anybody who gets on the amethyst biomat that I have, that I use during sessions when I'm working with people, brings you into that Delta meditative state of relaxation. So yeah, anything that's frequency that's going to bring you to where you need to go is a beautiful thing.
Well, I'm not familiar with that, so I may check that out, because like I am a big believer now in the alpha waves thing. 'Cause like I said, we play them sometimes at night when we're having trouble sleeping. We'll turn it on, and you're right, we just turn it down low enough so that we can just hear it, and it works. You know, I go from sleep scores of 50 and 60 to sleep scores of 80, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's awesome, because I don't get that. So for me to get a sleep score of 80 is like a phenomenal thing. So cool. I would be,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I
what
would be interested in learning more about that. So we're coming into the cold and flu season. I'm hearing all of the get your flu shot stuff and everything again already. Um, I am, I'm gonna knock on wood here, because as soon as I say it, it's gonna get me. I am never sick. Okay, I am never sick. I did finally get COVID finally last week. And I'm not quite sure where, because I didn't go anywhere. So my husband thinks I picked it up in Vegas when we were out there with the grandson at the beginning of August. And I'm like, well, if it took a month to show up, that's pretty sad, but who knows? But anyway,
I mean, it could have just been an exaggerated cold. Those PCR tests, Kerry Mullins, who was the inventor of the PCR test, had come out publicly to say not to use them. They shouldn't be used for diagnosing anything because they can be manipulated at the revolutions per second that they use to, quote, diagnose something. He said it's just for information, it's not for diagnosis. And then, interestingly enough, after he came out publicly and stated that, he was mysteriously killed.
well,
So you got to question a little bit some of what you're being told.
well, I have no doubt. I had two tests. They both came back positive. So I'm pretty sure it's what I had. And it wasn't bad. I got through it. I didn't die. I wasn't even really, really sick. I just had a cough and a sore throat, and I'm fine now. But other than that, that's the first time I've been sick in years. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
years. I don't ever get the flu. I used to think they were summer colds, but it's not. It's the doctor said it's allergies. And he's offered to give me allergy medication. And I said, no, thank you. Okay. That's okay.
Local,
I'll figure
local
it out.
honeys,
Yep.
local honey, stinging nettle, lemon juice. These things will all increase or decrease the amount of histamines that you have in your body, which is what creates the allergic reaction. So there's so many, our grandparents knew so many remedies that have been talked down. They also didn't get sick because they knew better.
Oh,
They
yeah.
took care of themselves. They were outside, they were in the sunlight, they were moving around, not moving for days on end. You know, that's a big deal.
And I had heard that about the local honey. So yeah, I started buying my honey at the farmer's market instead of the neighborhood stores. So I think that's helped, because this summer the allergies were not as bad. So I think that has helped. But with the oncoming season, I know the things I do. I change up my healthcare plan a little bit, or my self-care plan a little bit in the winter, because I know it's coming. And there's more bugs out there than usual. What would you recommend people do to stay healthy during?
Increased vitamin C, vitamin D. Most Americans are vitamin D depleted. if we have enough vitamin D and vitamin C on a daily basis, we're less likely to fall ill. Keeping a healthy gut biome will also keep you from getting sick. Proper sleep. Oh my goodness, there's so much. The local honey, as we said, you can diffuse essential oils in the home to keep bacteria and viruses down. There are air purifiers out there that will also help. I have an air purifier. It was funny. It was an MLM. I had sworn I would never do another MLM. But my previous home was built out of poured concrete, cinder block, and rebar, and it was subject to mold and mildew. This particular air purifier worked on eliminating not only the mold and mildew, but dust and all kinds of bacteria in the air. So I was like, all right, fine. I bought it, started using it in the house. People in town would come visit and go, how come your house doesn't smell like ours? And I'd show them the air purifier and they're like, oh, okay. So keeping your air clean is another way to reduce whatever is coming in, right? So it's not a one and done process. As Americans, we've been educated that just take a pill and it'll be fine. It's not a one and done, and it's not a cookie cutter. It's the same way when I used to be raw vegan. It was good until I started moving into my second winter and my body was too cold. I wasn't processing the food. So I had to find a way around it and kind of do a hybrid sort of way of eating. What works for a while doesn't continue to work. Your body is constantly changing and evolving.
Well, I love the air purifier because I do have one. I have one in my bedroom and I have one downstairs in our living room because that's where we spend the most of our time when we're home. And yes, well, the downstairs one takes care of pretty much the entire downstairs, so it's okay. And then I do have a smaller one in my bedroom that I love. And if I have to sleep elsewhere, I notice instantly that I don't have it with me. It's like I need to get a travel size one to carry with me. Or well, this one's small. I could probably take it with me, to be honest. But yeah, so that does help. And the essential oils. I'm a huge essential oils fan. So all of those things. I did not know the honey would help with colds. I know it, like I said, I know it helps with the allergies. But I did not know that it would help with colds. That's good to know.
You can do you can even do like your own cough syrup. You take honey. There's a couple of things that you can do. Just take some honey and peel some cloves of garlic. You can smash them a little bit if you want. You don't have to. You stick them in the honey, make sure that they're covered, and every day just move the honey around. The longer the garlic sits in there, the honey will start to liquefy. Instead of being thick and viscous, it'll start to liquefy. That is an antibacterial right there. So once the honey is liquefied, you just take a little bit of that on a teaspoon. When you're starting to feel run down, it'll knock out whatever is coming up. The other thing you can do if you are coughing, you take the honey, add either fresh lemon juice or fresh lime juice. I'm partial to the lime. A little bit of cayenne pepper, some turmeric, and you put just a pinch of black or white pepper in there, even some ginger. Enough of the citrus to make it liquid. And then every time you start to feel that scratchiness in your throat, take a teaspoon or two of that honey syrup and it stops the coughing. And because it's natural, you can take it as often as you need to take it. You don't have to wait 4 hours, 6 hours to take another dose.
That sounds
So
almost
honey,
like it sounds almost like something my grandma used to give me. Besides, she was famous for hot toddies. She did like to give us hot toddies when we were sick. She was all about the hot toddies. Okay, I know nowadays that would be considered child abuse, but I'm 66 years old and I'm fine. Okay, so I think Granny maybe was okay. All right. And I did
and
like
for
my
the
hot
amount,
toddies when I was sick. But she also used to make us, and I looked it up online a few months ago, and It's called golden milk. I guess it's a real thing, but she used to make us warm milk
Yes.
with honey and turmeric and some black pepper, and I forget what all else she put in it. But boy, we used to drink that. If we were staying at Granny's house, we had that every night before we went to bed. And it's good stuff. I mean, I like it. I'll make it here for me now. But somebody
You can add some cardamom to that, a little bit of cinnamon, star anise, depending on how spicy you want to get it. It's basically either a non-dairy if you're doing plant milks, or dairy alternative to chai tea. It has essentially the same herbs and spices in it. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it'll help you sleep.
It does. Like I said, I use coconut milk in mine. I have a problem with almond milk. I'm still trying to figure out how you milk an almond, but but I use coconut milk here. So, but yeah, I just know my body will be like, you need to go have some golden milk before you go to bed. And I will go make my coconut milk, and I use the turmeric and the black pepper and some cinnamon and some nutmeg and some honey and whatever else I have, and just chunk it all in there. And yeah, it works great, and it's good stuff. I like it, especially on a cold night in the wintertime.
Ginger is good. Yeah. Ginger is good to add also because ginger is an anti-inflammatory.
Okay, good to know. I haven't added
Ginger is an anti-inflammatory.
So, okay, so
It'll also kick up the spice level a little bit depending on how much you add.
okay, so local honey, lots of water,
So
lots
there's
of
that.
real food. I have read that your gut contains like 90% of your immune system is located in your gut.
Mm.
So why aren't more people worried about their gut health? I mean, when I read that, when I found that out, I was immediately on the quest to figure out, okay, what do I need to be eating to keep my gut healthy and balanced? And I mentioned that to other people, and they just kind of look at me like, although I do have my husband eating sauerkraut now, so I'm so proud.
Fermented vegetables are great. Kimchi. Yeah. Kimchi, sauerkraut. I know, but it's really good for your internal system.
Can't do the kimchi thing, but I did get him on the sauerkraut and kombucha. I've got him drinking kombucha. Actually, my daughter got him drinking kombucha, so he's coming around. We're getting him there.
You don't even have to get that complicated. Warm water, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, honey, first thing in the morning, and there's your fermentation right there.
Now, I do drink warm water and lemon juice in the morning. Granny taught me that a long, long time ago too. Granny knew her stuff, apparently. Because everything I'm reading, I was like, well, yeah, Grandma used to do that when we were little. Grandma used to give me that when we were little. Grandma told me that when we were little. So yeah, Grandma used to make me drink warm water and lemon juice because I used to get horrible UTIs, just horrible. I was even on low dose antibiotics for one time for like months, because we just couldn't get it to go away. And finally, Granny was like, warm water and lemon juice, here you go. And haven't had one since.
Yeah, no, with the gut biome though, who was it? Gabriel Cousins took a group of people. This was years ago. I actually still have the DVD. I think it was called Simply Raw. Took a group of, it was either 4 or 6 people who were diabetic, not injection diabetic, just tablet. Brought them out to his retreat space. They completely changed their diet. All of them. It's been a while since I've watched the video. Out of the 4, 2 or 3 immediately well, they all saw a descent in their diabetes numbers. They started feeling well. By the end of the program, I don't even remember how long they were on. I think it was a month. It was a month. By the end of the month, 3 out of the 4 had completely reversed the diabetes. The 4th one still needed like a little bit longer maintenance because their numbers had been higher than the others. But in a month, people reversed diabetes to a 0 point because they changed the flora in their gut. So it's all, the gut is like your biggest brain. It controls the body on so many levels. The brain, as I came to learn during my hypnosis training, we think we're thinking a thought, but actually the heart has picked up the information and then transmitted it to the brain. There's a bit of a time delay. So we're not actually thinking what we think we're thinking. It's the heart transmitting the electrical impulses to the brain.
Okay, that's
Heart math has also done a lot of research.
I said, that's a new one on me. I have not heard that.
The Heart Math Institute has done a ton of research on how the heart energy affects the body. Well, here's a good one. On 9/11, Heart Math has these computers at Princeton University that measure the magnetic resonance of heart frequency. And on 9/11, the outpouring of heart energy was so large, the dials on the computers at Princeton, on the heart math computers, were off the charts because of the amount of outpouring of heart energy that was happening that day and the following days.
Huh.
So it's measurable.
I had not heard that. That's interesting. I'll have to read more about that. I had not heard that. I read a lot. So a few years ago, I discovered what they call the blue zones. And immediately it was like, this makes sense. And started trying to adapt my lifestyle to be more in line with what they teach. Living where I live, it's not always easy because I live in the South where like fried foods are, if you're not frying it, it's not done right. It's not cooked right. It's not fried. But I've been trying very hard and I am seeing a difference. So a lot of what they teach is like real food. Okay. They're not totally vegan. But some places they are, but a lot of them aren't. But there's almost no red meat at all, none. And when they do eat meat, it's very small amounts. It's mostly plant-based, which yeah, that makes sense. I like vegetables anyway, so I've always been okay with that. Lots of pasta, lots of beans. It's okay. Carbs are okay. Eat your carbs, okay? Eat your carbs. They're okay. They're not going to kill you. They're fine. Okay. Just eat the right
Yes,
one.
they are.
White bread is not good for you. Real bread, good stuff. But and then what else? So yeah, it's the whole plant-based diet, real food, no processed food. Coffee, which after the COVID thing, coffee tastes like crap to me. I cannot drink coffee. It's like it just tastes bad. So I drink tea, but they advocate coffee, drink coffee. Without the coffee mate and the 4 tablespoons of sugar and like coffee. Okay, just coffee in a cup. What they call moving naturally.
Well, the coffee mate. The coffee mate is basically all. The coffee mate is all high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah,
which is all sugar.
I've never liked it anyways. It's like, well, but coffee in general now just tastes like crap. And then they said like move naturally. So for all you people that think you have to go to the gym 19 times a week to get healthy, they're like, no, just go work in your garden, go for a walk your dog, go do your yard work, clean your house, just move, just get up and move. Don't sit in front of the TV all day and then go to the gym 20 times a week thinking that's going to help, because it's not what it takes. You don't have to do all that. Just get out and move. So, and yeah,
Or check out the yoga video that I did for the Rebel Tribe.
oh yes, we had that yoga video. Yoga is good. Yoga is really good. And then what else? I'm trying to think what else they said. Meditation. They recommend meditation, which since I've started a meditation practice, I have noticed a difference, especially with like focus and with sleep in general, just sleep and focus. It's been a big help. And then what else? Red wine. They're like, but the right red wine. You can't just go, we're not going to go down and drink a bottle of whatever. I mean, the right
Ripple.
Yeah. I couldn't even remember what it was, but I never did drink the cheap stuff. Okay. I'm a wine snob. I admit it. I don't drink the cheap stuff ever. But it has to be the right, the right kind of red wine, and not by the gallons either. Okay. One, like, a normal serving, not 4 cupfuls later. Okay. Everything in moderation is the other thing they teach. Everything in moderation. And I'm trying to think what else is on that list. It's a list, but I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's not like you're not doing any kind of weird diet. You're not doing any kind of ridiculous exercise. You're just moving. You're eating real food. You're getting up and moving. You can have your coffee. You can have your wine. It's okay. Meditate might be new for some people. If you're not into that kind of thing. If you've never tried it before, but if you haven't tried it before, I suggest you do. It's very eye-opening as to how much it can help you. And then, but the things that I thought, there was 3 things that they say are part of the Blue Zones thing that just kind of, it seemed a little odd at first, and as I got more into it, I began to understand. And the first one was in Japan, they call it ikigai, which is a sense of purpose. It's like why you get up in the morning. And at first I couldn't understand that. And then I got to thinking, and I remembered how quickly my dad, my grandfather, my father-in-law, how quickly they all began to go downhill as soon as they retired.
Because their identity was taken. They didn't have their reason to get up in the morning. Community is also a very big part of the Blue Zone. There's a lot of community.
There is.
We're not meant to be isolated. We're meant to be together.
Yeah, they mentioned that. I guess they have a name for it. It's called find your moai. Your moai is like your tribe of people, your little group of 4 or 5 people that that you're all going to be there for each other. You're going to walk together. You're going to do things together. You're going to have lunch together once a week or whatever it takes. But these are your people that you're going to support each other basically for the rest of your lives. I guess in Japan, they even take it so far as they financially support each other. So like if you were to get sick and couldn't work and you needed money, your moai would all chip in and bring you food and bring you money and take care of you until you were able to get back up on your feet again. And so I don't, I'm not advocating that you have to go quite that in depth, but finding that group of people that you can count on to, your girlfriends. Find your girlfriends. That's a concept I think we've lost a long time ago. And I could give tons of examples of how my girlfriends have been here for me so many times when I needed them. And I don't see that in a lot of the younger people anymore. I don't see that bond with other women. And it amazes me. I don't get it.
You know why?
No.
Because they've replaced it. Oh, can't see it there. Replaced it with this cell phone in hand. That's become their moai. They've forgotten how to have real face-to-face conversation. We need to really work on regenerating that sense of face-to-face community, real conversation, not text, not emails. Pick up a phone and hear somebody's voice. Hi, how you doing today? Good. I hear you're well. Just wanted to check on you. Talk to you later. Bye. That's all it takes.
I used to work for the Girl Scouts, and
Yes.
I was their
Mhm.
their training person in charge of training all of the staff and the volunteers. So we used to do this big thing out at camp twice a year, where we'd bring all the volunteers out to be trained. And it always amazed me because we would normally do it over a weekend, and I would go out Friday night. Training didn't usually start till Saturday morning, but I would always go out Friday night, and I would invite anyone who wanted to come out to camp Friday night to just come out and just, come out and talk and share stories and, build the campfire and do. And it was always the older scout leaders that came, and we had the best time. And we would just sit and we would, cook, make s'mores around the campfire and sing old camp songs and talk about our Girl Scout days. And it was just so much fun. But none of the younger scout leaders would come. None of them ever showed up till Saturday morning. And I never understood that. It's like, you have no idea what you're missing out on. I mean, you guys are always telling me you want to be good volunteers and you want to learn more. And in this room on a Friday night in the camp lodge, there was years and years and decades of experience in scouting that you could learn from, not to mention just the wisdom of these older women that have been through so much, and you wouldn't come and talk to them. I don't get it. I never understood that.
Because they've forgotten how. Socialization. If you look around when you go out, 9 times out of 10, let's say you're at a restaurant, everybody at the table, they're all sitting there face to face, but they've all got their phone in their hands. They're not having conversation. It's getting to a point where I think we have to collect phones at the door when people show up and say, it's in this basket, you'll get it back before you leave. Just to encourage people to relearn how to talk. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. What is amazing though is that there is still that desire for connection. When I go into the practice rooms of the hypnosis community that I'm a part of, and people from all over the globe are gathered, and we all are there. We're talking, we're learning. Some of us are working together just to help each other out to experience, because when you're the facilitator, when you're the practitioner, you're giving, but you're not always receiving. So it's good to be able to go into that place to have the ability to receive. And that's another way we can keep our gut healthy, by practicing these self-care techniques, right? Or seeing somebody who can help facilitate with whatever it is we're dealing with. For me, unfortunately, it's a little bit of a distance right now, but when I was living up north, there were 2 Korean spas that had 8 to 13 different saunas on site. And I would go and spend a day, and it was like a mini vacation. You just go from sauna to sauna to sauna, you rest in between, you sleep, you just relax. And I would come home and my son would look at me, because I never told him I was going. He'd look at me and he said, "Oh, you were at the spa today, weren't you?" I said, "How'd you know?" He said, "Because your face is calm." Things like that. Doesn't have to be something really super expensive. It doesn't have to be a big deal. You don't need to get on a plane. Find things that are local, that will feed you, that will nourish you. Taking a walk in a local nature preserve, walking around your block. The meditation is good. Reading things about self-help, things that you can do to literally take your healing into your own hands. There's so many possibilities.
Well, I think what amazed me is, when you ask about health, everybody's like, oh, the diet and the water and the this and the oils and that, and they forget about those other little things, like having a sense of purpose, having community, like you said. And then the other thing they advocate is, they said everybody that lives in these blue zones, and the blue zones are areas of the world there's like different spots in the world where people are just naturally long lived. They live into their hundreds, you know, in a higher percentage than anywhere else in the world. And there's one in California. It's Loma Linda, California. You know, and it's like one of the things that they say is they all have a spiritual connection. So not necessarily, you know, they're not necessarily Christian or whatever. They're just, but they all have a spiritual practice of some sort. So based on, you know, based on where they live, like in Japan, they're probably not Christian, but they still have a deeply spiritual connection. And it's like, I think we have religion here, okay? We have religion in this country. I'm not sure how much of us are really spiritually connected. Okay, I would have to question that.
There's a
just say
there's a big difference between following a religious doctrine and having a spiritual connection. I'm not saying you can't have both, but the spirituality comes from within your own heart. When you feel your connection or find your connection to your divine, that presence or no sense of knowing that you know is above you, that's guiding you without somebody dictating that you have to do this or you have to do that. Otherwise, there's going to be these crazy consequences. I don't subscribe to that.
Oh, I know. I'm a Christian.
Go out in nature. You'll find that's
Yeah, I
which
fully
is
admit
cool. I mean, go out in nature. You'll find that spirituality.
yeah. And when I tell people that, and they just kind of like, you're one of those, and I'm like, no, I hate to tell you, but I don't know who some of these preferred or professed Christians, you know, I don't know what God they follow, but he sure as heck isn't my God. Okay. I don't know their God. So, and I consider myself to be pretty spiritual. So, but yeah, it's just all those little things that we don't think about that make a huge big difference in our health, and we don't think about them. It's like you said, we'll change our diet and we'll exercise and then we'll take some vitamins and we'll be all good. And it's like, yeah, there's a little more to it than that. Sorry. So how do we change that?
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. How do we change that? How do we get that word out there? There was a documentary on Netflix where they actually interviewed and talked to and followed the guy that wrote the Blue Zones book. They followed him around, and I learned some things, and I've been reading it forever now. I've been reading his stuff, and I learned some things that I didn't know. And but when I talked to the people, I was like, have you watched this? Did you see this? Did you? And they're all just kind of looking at me like, what are you talking about? I don't. You know, so, and of course there's everybody out there that's like, well, this Blue Zones is all just a lot of hooey. You know, he's not
it's documented.
Yeah, I know he's not, and I could almost see it if he was saying, well, come take my pills and blah, 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 but he's not. He's like, go eat real food and go for a walk. Okay. So I'm pretty sure he's not making any money off that. Okay. Go eat real food, go for a walk, meditate, you know. It's like, I don't get it. Why are you so anti? I don't understand. I just don't understand. It's just
the programming. I actually Vilcabamba in Ecuador is one of those blue zones. It's called the Valley of Longevity. And I was seriously looking at moving there at one point just because of that reason. Air is cleaner, higher elevation, no mosquitoes, people were enjoying each other, the food was pure and clean. It's a lot to take in. That's why I'm saying it's a lifestyle.
I know I keep
and
telling
you do it in little bits.
I keep telling my husband we need to move to Icaria, Greece for the same reason. We need to move to Icaria, Greece for the same reason. That's a blue zone. And they were profiling it on the television. I was like, I could live there, right? And be completely happy. Let's move. Don't think he's quite up for it though.
Yeah.
So how do we
Yeah,
teach this? How do
you
we
never
teach
know.
people to calm down and like, how do we teach people to meditate if they're not into meditation? How do you teach them to, you know, sauerkraut's not going to kill you. It's actually okay for you. It's okay. Just eat it. You know, how do we teach people that carbs are not bad? They're fine if you eat the right ones. How do we get this through? I don't understand. I mean, I have my little wellness group because I'm in the health and wellness MLM. And yeah, we don't have a ton of pills and stuff for you to take because that's not what I'm all about. So I mean, even in my little wellness group, when I'm talking about, I did a meditation challenge and it was like crickets, you know.
Crickets.
Okay. Yeah.
Crickets, because most people don't understand that meditation can be as simple as, if you have a window over your sink, doing the dishes, staring out the window, feeling the sensation of the water, feeling the soap, feeling the sponge, the clean of the plate after you wash it. That could be considered a moving meditation. Following your breath, just sitting for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I think we all can sit for 5 minutes, right? And close. Notice the sensation of your breath as you inhale, exhale. If that is where your focus is for 5 minutes, guess what? You just meditated for 5 minutes. Do that again 2 more times during the day. Even though you broke it up, you have effectively meditated for 15 minutes. It becomes cumulative in your body. So each time you sit and do it, it gets easier, number one. Number two, the benefit is growing internally and physically. And before you realize it, before you know it, if you make a dedicated 5 minute process a few times a day, before you even realize it, your body is going to enjoy it so much, you're going to just naturally extend the time till you all of a sudden you look at your clock and you're, oh my God, that was a half an hour. Because your body is craving it. It's like taking a shower for your brain, for your mind. Right? You wouldn't not wash, you wouldn't not brush your teeth every day. Same thing with meditation. If you can focus on just your breathing, you're creating better health, better wellness. You're eliminating the extra production of hormones and cortisol in your body. The extra cortisol accelerates your aging process. It places too much stress and pressure on your internal organs. People just need to understand what the benefits are, and they need to be what we call in hypnosis at threshold, where they know I have to change. If I don't change right now, nothing's going to change. So they have to make the choice. They have to make the decision that they need to do something in order to change where they're at. Otherwise, it's in one ear, out the other. And as we model these behaviors and people see the changes in us, then they're going to start to get curious, because now you're not preaching to somebody who doesn't want to hear. They're seeing real-time visible proof of how these changes can positively affect your life.
Maybe that's what it takes, because that's when I finally actually got serious about all of this, was when my mom passed away and my dad came to live with us. And he had Alzheimer's and he had emphysema and he had a heart problem. And I was just looking at him, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would do it again in a heartbeat, because it was some of the most joyful times of my life, was watching him actually get to spend time with his grandkids and his great grandchildren. And we really kind of got to know each other on a level that we didn't before, because I left home when I was like 18. And then, but it's also some of the hardest times of my life trying to care for him. And I decided at that point that I was never going to be a burden to my family. That just was not going to happen. Okay. I would be as healthy as I possibly could for as long as I possibly could, no matter what, because I was not going to be that burden. And I actually I posted it in on my little wellness page where he's talking about the Blue Zones. Dan Bettner is doing an interview and talking about that whole sense of community again, and care for the respect for the elderly, and how they don't put their grandparents and stuff and parents in the nursing homes in these places. And I didn't either. I mean, we never did growing up. My grandmother and my grandparents stayed at home until they passed, and we took turns coming down. Everybody was like, can you go out with us after school today? No, I have to run down the hill and check out my grandma, and they'd be like, what? And I was like, no, that's how we do things. Okay. Yeah, just how we do things. But they said once they go into a nursing home, 2 to 5 years tops.
Sure, because they're cut off from everything that's familiar to them. And our society has made it seem perfectly acceptable to follow that route.
Yeah. So, and my dad, who had Alzheimer's and emphysema and high blood pressure and a heart problem, lived for he lived up into he was almost 80. I mean, he was months away from being 80. And the only reason he passed when he did, I think, is because he fell and broke his shoulder, and he had pain. He fell and broke his shoulder before he came to live with me, and he had pain. And we took him to the doctor because he was always in complaining about the pain. And we took him to the doctor. And I mean, they gave him everything. They gave him Darvocet. They gave him, everything, Vicodin, everything. You name it, they gave it to him. Nothing helped his pain except Tylenol.
Still trying to find the thing.
Tylenol would help his pain. And finally, his Alzheimer's doctor was like, he may be in real pain, or he may not be. He may just expect to be in pain because he knows he fell and broke his shoulder. But because of the Alzheimer's, Tylenol is the only thing he recognizes, because it's something he's familiar with. He recognizes it as the thing that relieves his pain. He said, so you have a choice to make. He said, you can take it away from him because it's not good for him. He said, you can take it away from him and he will live longer and he will be in constant pain. He says, or you can let him take his Tylenol and know that it's probably going to shorten his life, but at least he'll be pain-free. And I made that choice, and it was a hard choice to make. It really was, but that's what killed him. He had a stomach bleed finally, and he bled out before, so that's what finally got him. But if it hadn't been for that, he'd still be with us because he lived that way his entire life. He lived on a farm. Baba came from Czechoslovakia. He lived on a farm. He lived that way his entire life. He came out here. He lived, that's when I had started really focusing in on my health. So we didn't eat a lot of junk. He walked everywhere because he couldn't drive. He never could drive. His eyes were bad. He had some kind of problem with his eyes. So he never was able to drive. So he walked everywhere. So, everything. He was deeply religious. He had everything that they preach in that book. Was like, that's my dad. And look at him. He's got all of these health issues, supposedly, and he's still going. He is still going. He can outdo most of you with all of these supposed health issues, So I was like, yeah, okay, we're good. But
you created his own little blue zone.
So it was pretty cool. So that's what really, I think, yeah, you need that reason to do it, I guess. You need that thing that's going to make you finally step up and go, okay, it's time.
Yeah. I mean, the people that I've helped stop smoking, and this was even before I knew the hypnosis, just with EFT, they were at threshold. They were like, I can't do this anymore. I need help getting rid of this nasty habit. And in one session, done. No more cigarettes. You have to want the change, and it has to be now. If you're not at that space, you can talk until the cows come home. It'll be like putting a Band-Aid on something. But once you get that cut again, you're gonna have to put another Band-Aid on.
Okay, so you've taught me my lesson. I will stop trying to be so preachy to people and just live my life and hope that they will look at me and go, dang, you're pretty dang healthy for being overweight and old. Okay, what are you doing? Let me show
What
you.
you what you can do is sprinkle little bits of information, kind of like when you plant your garden, right? You plant the seeds, you don't expect to see the final product the day after you planted the seeds. But when you plant the seeds and you give it enough time to grow and nurture and expand in the soil, eventually you get the final result. Same thing when you're trying to share information, you see where somebody is at. And if they're open to even hearing about those little seeds. And as you plant those seeds and they start to grow and nurture, one day they're going to come back to you and go, can you tell me more about that? You
Well,
never want to preach.
I'm preachy by nature. I'm sorry.
Well, then maybe you missed your call and you should have been a preacher.
I just want everybody to I just want everybody to have the, take advantage of what's out there and available. And it's like, and it doesn't even cost you a lot of money. When I hear that, oh, it costs so much money to eat healthy. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Go to your freaking farmer's market. Go to your farmer's market. It's not expensive. Eat in season, okay? Eat in season. Yes, if you're going to go buy fresh raspberries and fresh strawberries in February, you're going to pay for them because they didn't come from here, okay? I'm not
Right.
sure where they came from, but they didn't come from here. So eat in season, eat from your farmer's market, grow your own. Oh my gosh, just grow your own. I don't care where you live. I did a video just showing a container garden. I grew everything that I put in my regular garden I grew in containers. Even corn. You can grow corn in containers. I did it. And I
Wow.
did the whole little video. I mean, you're not going to plant a field, you're not going to get a couple, but if you're just one person, that's all you need. So you're not trying to feed the world, you're trying to feed yourself.
Herbs. Herbs can be grown in homes, and that's your own. You've got micronutrients there.
Oh, microgreens. Yes, microgreens. And they're easy to grow. And if you're looking for an income stream, microgreens sell for a lot and they grow quick. Okay, 14 days. Okay, you can have a whole crop in 14 days. So put those babies out there, and then take the ones that you're not going to use because they're. I mean, it's fresh, so they're going to go bad fast. Box
Right.
them up and take them to the farmer's market and sell them to help offset the cost of your vegetables that you're buying at the farmer's market.
Mung beans. You can sprout mung beans and have your own bean sprouts. Takes about a week.
Yeah. And microgreens are what they say. They have I forget what it is.
Higher chlorophyll, more nutrients, more vitamins.
Well, they have everything. It's like all the nutrients. So if you're eating broccoli and you're eating a broccoli stalk, if you eat broccoli microgreens, that microgreen contains all the nutrients that's in that bigger broccoli, but it's condensed. So it's all there. So if you're eating a whole bunch of microgreens, like on your salad or whatever, think of all the nutrition you're getting, because every one of those contain all the nutrients that's going to be in that plant that it's going to grow up to be. It's just condensed. It's like, so it's like, think about the MLMs where you used to buy your laundry soap, and it was like you use a quarter of a cup because it was condensed, Same thing. Okay, you're eating a microgreen. You're going to eat less, but you're going to get all the nutrition just the same because it's condensed or whatever. So I love microgreens, and you can sneak them in anything. I sneak them into my husband's salad because he doesn't know, because he doesn't like them.
Just don't let him watch the video then.
I sneak them into our soups, just like, yes. So, and now with these little garden things, I have those, what do they call them? The
Aero garden?
Yes, I love my little aero garden. I have a few of them. They work. You can grow all kinds of stuff in those little things. So you can have fresh stuff all year round. So I don't want to hear that it's too expensive to eat. No, it's not. Okay, it's not. Now, the
Well,
biggest
so
problem is
That's true.
people don't
here's
have
a lifestyle,
access.
right? But here's another lifestyle tip. See what you spend on junk food or processed food every week. Total that up.
Yeah.
Eliminate the processed food and put that towards real food. You'll soon eliminate the processed food and only be buying real food.
Now, I will grant you, some people don't have access because of where they live to real food, and that is a problem. That is a problem, worldwide. I think that's a problem. What do they call them? Food deserts?
Food deserts.
Yes, that is a problem that needs to be addressed. But still, if you have access, it's not expensive. There are ways. And gardening is moving naturally. So now you're taking care of the other, another blue zone precept is moving naturally. So if you're out there tending your little container garden every day, you're
Mhm.
moving and you're getting sunlight. So look at all the good stuff you're doing. But
Exactly.
so
Well,
we gotta wind down here. So I don't know. I'm looking for that one. If you could, if we were gonna tell somebody to make one change, like right now, what would it be?
breathe. Breathe. Most people don't even realize they're not, no, I'm breathing every day, all day. No, you're not. You're sitting at the computer. If you're engaged with what's on the screen, chances are you're holding your breath. Even knowing what I know, if I sit too long staring at the screen, all of a sudden I'll go, oh my God, I'm holding my breath. I need to breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. The more oxygen you bring into your body, the more toxins you release with the exhalation, the more alkaline your system becomes, which then reduces all of the inflammation, and you're on your way to a better health. Breathe.
I never realized that until you mentioned it, but yeah, I've noticed sometimes I'll be sitting there and all of a sudden you'll just like, because I'm not breathing. God, I never really put it together. Oh, that's funny. Oh,
Well, and then the more you breathe, the better you'll sleep at night. Because your body's been oxygenated all day instead of deprived of oxygen and all that CO2 building up in your body. Just breathe, baby.
all these things that we should be doing that we're not, that are so easy and so inexpensive and so effective. I just
Yep.
keep hanging out with us. We're going to teach you. So we've done yoga, we've done EFT, we've done this little overview of holistic health, which I think, maybe wasn't loaded with tips and tricks, but I hope it gave people some things to think about. What are you going to teach us next time?
Maybe we can do a guided meditation with some hypnosis thrown in.
I think that I really think the meditation would be fine. I think what sold me the most on its effectiveness was not only how much I felt better, but I've noticed, I checked my watch one time, my fitness tracker. When I'm meditating, it reads it as deep sleep.
Yes, ma'am.
That told me everything I needed to know right there. I was like, I've just had even if it's just like 5 minutes, sometimes I'll only have time for like 5 minutes and I'll do like a 5 minutes. And I use guided meditation because I admit I'm very hard to, my mind is always racing 100 thoughts a day. That meme you see where I've got like 25 windows open and, that's me. Okay. That's my mind constantly. So I use the guided meditation and then I use the meditation just for that purpose, to help quiet my mind and to focus.
Well, I just did a workshop where it was called Find Your Guide. It was a very guided visualization with some hypnotic language thrown in. And the best part, when we were done, the participants looked at me and they said, how long were we in that process? I said, almost an hour. They couldn't believe it. They said it didn't feel like an hour. but the positive effects just from that guided meditation, they were amazed. Doesn't take a lot.
I know, like I said, so I do the 5, some days I'll only do 5 minutes. I have a meditation. I have a couple of meditation apps on my phone actually, and I'll sometimes just do 5 minutes, but again, I will check my watch afterwards. Now I check just to see, and it's like 5 minutes of deep sleep. Okay. So I'm getting benefit from it, even if it's just 5 minutes, I'm getting benefit from it. So yeah, I never miss, like I said, even if it's just 5 minutes, I never miss my meditation in the morning because I know what it's doing for me. So I like that idea. Guided meditation would be wonderful. Cool. We will look forward to that.
Awesome.
Well, thank you,
It'll be,
Faye.
thank you, Melodian. This is fun.
This has been very enlightening. I will put the link to Faye's website in the
Which
description.
I just updated. It's new and beautiful.
I need to go do that to one of mine. Okay. I've got the marketing website that I've had because I do like content creation and stuff for people, but I've gotten so wrapped up in in the Rebel Tribe and some other things that I'm doing. I've kind of let that one slide. And I was looking at it the other day going, this is bad. Okay. People came here, they would like, I'm not going to work with her, but no, so I need to go do that. That's on my to-do list for today. Update the website. It's a chore that I hate, but
After having just done it, I totally understand.
I'm too much of a control freak to let anybody else do it. I actually had someone do my website once upon a time, and they did a really good job, and they were taking care of it, and then they just up and disappeared. And and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't do anything. And I suppose it's partly my fault because I never asked them to show me how to have access to it or anything. Because it's like, well, they're doing it. They're doing a good job, and it's not something I like to do, so I'll let them do it. So now I've gone 180 degrees the other direction. It's like, now I'm doing that myself. Thank you. So I suppose.
Yeah, no, mine was good, but there were a few little tweaks that I needed. So it's been done. Thankfully, I had somebody sit beside me and help me navigate the things I would have pulled my hair out from. And I can say it's now beautiful.
Who is this wonderful person, and can they help me?
She's retired. She did it as a friend, but I can ask her if she wants a side hustle.
Oh, I'll go get it done. I've got to get it done. That's on my list of things to do today. I'll get it done. So I hate it so much. I hate it. I don't, if I could learn to, you kind of need a website, kind of. I mean, it depends on your business. A lot of times you don't. And I tell people that it's like, you don't absolutely positively have to have a website. But I'm at the point where I do need a website, and it's like, but I hate it so much.
I understand.
All righty, my dear. Well, thank you. And if
Thank
you would
you.
send us the link to that other thing,
The rife
yes,
frequencies.
yes, if you'll send me that, I'll put that in the video too, because there might be some other people who are as intrigued by that as I am. So I've got your website. If you would send me the other thing, I will put that in there too. It sounds intriguing to me.
I found it helpful. There are a couple of the frequencies that I'm currently using, and I'm noticing changes.
So there might be some other people that would like to check that out. So yes, I'd appreciate that if you would send it, please.
ASAP.
Thank you, ma'am. We will talk again
You're welcome.
soon.
All right.
Bye, Miss Faye. This was Faye from her website is a Needed Escape. Needed as in bread needed, not yes. Although, you know what? It might be the other kind of needed as well, to be honest. Okay. It's a much needed escape. So
Yeah, it started out with a massage, and then it's just morphed into everything else that I've added. It all works.
awesome. Thank you,
All right.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.